One and all, greetings and welcome to another episode of 5 Play Friday Live. Super excited to be here. Bing! Hope everybody's doing great and has a great weekend ahead of them. I have plenty to do today and I have plenty to do over the weekend, so we are poised and ready to go with another episode of 5 Play Friday. Hope everybody's doing well. Randy Wilson is in the house. The Zooch from Missouri. Super excited. Absolutely. That's how we roll. Who is this character from a small little corner of Connecticut? Back in the chat. Billy Mack, we missed you. Good to see you. Jason Hayes. I just don't understand that. I must have missed something in the chat. Ray Allen here in the beautiful San Francisco Bay Area from AT&T Park. We do have a baseball game here in the San Francisco city limits today. Big series with the Dodgers. A lot of excitement here in the Bay Area. Mike Connors jumping in from the Tampa, Florida. First meeting coming up. New books. Anticipation, baby. Absolutely. Absolutely. Marcel Bingham is here in the Bay Area as well. Yes, that is how the Mannix rolls. Yeah, compared to the music, what volume should be good in general. Let me know if it's a continued problem. I'll continue to yell. You know, like when you have that scorekeeper and you know they a little hard of hearing. That's a foul on black. 5. Pushing. Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. All right, let's move quickly. And so we can get to plays. Our live schedule for new viewers, right? You are new to the live stream. You are new to the channel. We live stream every Wednesday and Friday. On Wednesday, we do a basketball rules expert. We talk about all the things from a rules perspective. Kind of a study group scenario where a play scenario is introduced. What are the variables? And the ultimate goal of the show is to help basketball officials get better with the rules, become experts, and most importantly, be able to take the rules with them onto the basketball court where it's most important. Every Friday, 5 Play Friday Live, we look at play clips, get better, take the good, the positive, steal everything we can, right? That's positive, look at the negatives, develop systems to avoid those at all costs, analyze whether the officials did the right thing, looking at the right thing, right time to make the right call. And every other Monday we have a master class. Our next one is up in the air. That's just a fact of life. If you are new to the show, put new in the chat. I'd be pleased to meet you. My name is Greg Austin with A Better Official. We live stream at least 2 times a week so we can get better as basketball officials. And if you have anything on any of the plays, any comments about the stream, put your voice in the game. Get in the chat. Join the conversation so we can all get better together. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. All right, Joe Sanchez joining us from the FLA. Excellent. Good to see you, Joe. Thanks for jumping on and thanks for putting your voice in the game. Okay. I'm going to go there. Yeah. All right. No, I'm not going to go there. I'll tell you where I'm going to go. I'll tell you where I'm going to go. There's something I want to get off my chest. And I'm going to call out basketball uniform manufacturers, the Honigs, the Smitties. I've got a real issue, right? It's not just this year. It's happened before, right? New season's coming up. I pull the equipment, the hard fought. I worked hard for the money that I paid for that equipment. I bring my equipment out. Take my pants. I take my uniforms and I put them on. And what do we have? Shrinkage. Shrinkage of our uniforms. I paid good money for those uniforms. Every season ends, I put the uniform in the closet. New season comes up, I take the uniform out of the closet. What do we have? Shrinkage. Right? Can hardly put them on. This is a problem. I'm calling out Smitty's. I'm calling out Honig's. I'm calling out uniform manufacturers everywhere. This off-season shrinkage of uniforms is unacceptable. I just had to put that in the game. Oh, fantastic. I just had to get that off my chest. Alrighty. So, on our previous episode, Basketball Rules Expert on Wednesday, we were referring again to points of emphasis. This year, one of the points of emphasis is traveling. We talked about all of the case plays regarding traveling so that we can have a better understanding of the rules. And today, let's follow up and look at plays that look funny, right? We know when a play looks funny on the court, the energy from the stakeholders in the game and the stands is immediate. Everybody, that's a travel. What are you looking at, right? So we're looking at those plays today. Let's get started. Let's look at plays. Stick around. Greetings. Welcome back to another episode of 5 Play Friday, the show where we look at game video so that we can get better as basketball officials. Greetings again, everybody. My name is Greg Austin with abetterofficial.com. We craft video to help basketball officials get better and take control of their officiating career. If you are new to the channel, take a moment. If this is good content for you, hit like, but also subscribe and notify so you don't miss out on any of our new content. We live stream every Wednesday and Friday. Join us for the live stream. Put your voice in the game so we can all get better together. All right, fantastic. This week we are focusing on one of the points of emphasis for the upcoming season. We are focusing on traveling. In our previous Basketball Rules Expert, we talked about case plays which involve the funky, the unusual, players going to the floor, etc., and how those plays are to be properly adjudicated. And today we're going to follow up by looking at play clips regarding traveling so that we can have a better understanding of the rules and restrictions regarding traveling. Whenever there's a point of emphasis about traveling, it's not, oh, we need more traveling violations. No, we have too many. We need fewer traveling violations. No. More accurate traveling rulings. Not putting a whistle on legal plays, putting a whistle on illegal plays, and so the game is better. Hey, before we get started on the show, though, allow me a chance to thank our fantastic show supporters. Gerald Masucci, Les O'Connor Jr., Jason Hayes, Sylvia Biggett, and Scott Calvin. Much appreciated and much love. You want to support the show? You can always buy us a coffee, and you know I'm going to put a link in the show notes below. Awesome. All right, we're looking at plays today regarding traveling. We're going to have a pretty good volume of plays. Traveling plays are short, right? Remember when we do correctable error plays, we got a long video because a lot of things have to happen. Traveling plays happen almost in an instant, so we can go through quite a few, and we're going to get started in just a second. Who's in the house here? Oh, fantastic. Jeremy, excellent. Welcome to the wonderful world of officiating. I hope you have a fantastic season. Excellent. Absolutely, like George Costanza Shrinkage. I was in the pool. Billy Mack, biggest traveler. Yeah, 2 steps, 1 step, 1.5 steps, right? Yeah, officials grasp for what they can, I think, grasp for what they think they can use as a mechanism to help them with traveling rulings. But in the end, of course, traveling it involves the officials having a absolute understanding of the pivot foot and an absolute understanding of the rules and restrictions. And as of course, as we talked about in the episode on Wednesday, what did we talk about? No, what we talked about is I forgot my point there. Philharmonic is a fantastic show supporter. I have nothing but love. See more butts. If you are on the live stream, feel free. You can buy us a coffee at abetterofficial.com/coffee. Awesome. Awesome. Jay Dave is in the house. Mike Goodwin joining from Alaska. Fantastic. Good to see you. All right. I'm here. I'm here. I am here. Let me know if there's any issues in the stream, but I think we are good to go. And we are looking at traveling plays today. Let's take a look at our very first play clip. I mean, well, I'll tell you what. Those may not work today, but I can fix them in post. All right. Let's take a look at our very first play. Let me take a look. All right. Hello, Bullet Dog. Gus is in the building. Sorry about that. All right, so we have a traveling violation ruled by the lead official on this play. When we look at traveling plays, right, there's real time, and we need to make a judgment on a play in real time. And then we can utilize slow motion in an effort to fully understand what is occurring on a play, right? Sometimes a player's footwork is so quick, it leaves us unsure when we make a possible ruling about a play. But we need to know, in this instance, specifically what has happened on this play. Traveling violation by the lead. Let's take a look at the play. Player drives, bounces the ball, jumps off 1 foot, lands on 2 feet simultaneously, right? It's close. We don't need to pick nits. Has landed simultaneously. Is this a legal play to this point? A player is allowed to terminate their dribble, jump off of 1 foot holding the ball, land on 2 feet holding the ball, but, and that's legal, but neither foot can then be a pivot foot. by rule. So when the player ultimately steps again, they have traveled at that point. So understanding where the illegal comes. Remember, we talked about when we look at plays, unusual, let's say our brain takes time to process, something funny has happened, there's energy in the building or what have you, right? We're waiting for the illegal alarm to go off, right? I see the play, I see everything about it, but nothing about it says to me illegal. And when that illegal occurs, then we act upon it. So in this instance, we have an accurate ruling on the play. This is a traveling violation by rule. And the reason is after the player legally landed on 2 feet, they then moved one of their feet, and they are not allowed to do that by rule. Traveling violation, call correct. Well, Mike, I'll tell you. So Mike says, if you could tell that the landing was not simultaneous, how is that picking nits? You know, if it's not simultaneously, right? So as we talked about on Wednesday, you can have a situation where a player executes a maneuver, right? We were talking about the comparison to the Olympics. The player executed the maneuver, and let's say they got a 9.8, right? They didn't get a perfect 10. Right? So, and we talked as well that by the laws of physics, a player cannot actually land both feet simultaneously, right? One has to land before the other if we're looking at the smallest increments. What's the spirit and intent of the rule, right? The player jumps and lands simultaneously. Simultaneously is not it offers us some room, in my judgment, right? It offers us some room. So that's how I would defend that, Mike. You know, if you want to say, well, I know that they did not land at the same time, therefore we are going to rule a violation, you know, that's going to be your prerogative. You would expect to have that consistency among your crew on that night. That would be a challenge potentially, but, you know, it's all there on the table for us and how we officiate this play. Oh, excellent. Billy Mack, new NCAA men guidelines. If it's close to being simultaneous, it's legal, right? Again, yeah, I think it's spirit and intent. Thanks for adding that. Thomas Hennian jumping in. Good to see you, Thomas. Fantastic. I am going to go back to there, and then I'm going to see if this transition works. Let's take a look. No. Let's take a look at our next traveling clip. Right, this clip coming from Freddie Krieger, the phenomenal Freddie Krieger from the state of Michigan. A fantastic resource for basketball officials and a great friend online. Supplied some clips. So we have a play where obviously something funny has happened on this play, right? What do we expect? The energy, we see the student section, you know. The energy in the building is, oh, you can't do that, right? But again, we're waiting for something in our brain to say something illegal has occurred, not that something funny or unusual or out of the timing of it was unusual, etc. Something illegal by rule. Now, what is a player holding the ball, which this player does in this instance? They are holding the ball. What are they allowed to legally touch to the floor? And what are they allowed? They are not allowed to touch the floor. We know that they can touch their hands and their feet. Hands and feet, legal. A knee, an elbow, a backside, all illegal. while holding the ball, going to the floor, but hands and feet legal. So this is a legal play by rule. Great job by the officials. Nobody had a reaction. Oh, that looked funny, right? Whistle on the play. And again, we want to train ourselves. We want to train ourselves so that we see plays, we recognize, we process, and we're waiting for something illegal to happen. If I know what the illegal things are, then, all right, I see the play, but it's not meeting any of these illegal criteria, all right? So it's just play on. Play on, baby. Jeff G. Let's go with that. Grabowski. How about that? Grabowski. I'm going with that, Jeff. Let me know. Player may jump off both feet to shoot or pass after simultaneously landing, right? They can. So a player jumps off one, not on this play, but a player jumps off one, lands on two. What are they legally allowed to do? They are legally allowed to do everything except pivot. Use, then pivot by lifting and replacing one of their feet onto the floor. Yeah, Mike, this player is impressive. It's like, man, okay. And we see players being athletic on the floor, as we talked about on Wednesday, and we appreciate it. Could I do that? I don't think so. I don't think so. Billy Mack. That's an inside joke, I think. Yeah. But I'm pretty confident in my ability to pronounce people's names, but you never know. You never know. All right, so this player does a fantastic job, a display of athleticism. The officials do a great job. If we did pick nits about the officiating crew, right, center official, the three-point attempt is from their primary coverage area. They mark. I don't think they stay with the shooter, right? We'd want to see that landing and that backside hitting the leg, whether there's any displacement on the play. Our trail official disconnects slightly. We're always looking at all the things when we analyze our game video. If I was the trail on this play and I saw myself disconnect as opposed to stepping down for rebounding action, right? We're in the fourth period with a minute to go. I don't know the situation in the game, but habits, fundamentals, etc. That's what we have on that play. Let's look now at our next traveling clip. Right? Obviously, a skilled ball handler, that just jumps off, right? Their ability to make this, crossover behind the back here. But fundamentally what they do is illegal. Why is it illegal? Right? Too many steps, etc. No, what makes it illegal is the player has a pivot foot established, right? And lifts the pivot foot, right? So right here, this player is holding the basketball with their left foot on the floor. One, and returns the left foot to the floor. Traveling violation by rule. Right? So it's not the number of steps. It's whether or not the pivot foot was lifted, a legal play, but then returned to the floor. Right? So a dribbler, in this instance, terminates their dribble with a foot on the floor, lifts it, and returns it to the floor. Illegal by rule, really straightforward and simple play scenario. I'm struggling here to find my controller. All right, let's look at another Traveling play. Oops. Right? Player drives from the wing, jumps off 1 foot, lands on 2 feet. I'm sure even this play everybody would agree this is a simultaneous landing. This is a legal play by rule. No whistle by the officials, so adjudicated correctly. But it's great to see these plays and to see them and understand why it's legal, why it's not illegal, right? So our player here jumps off 1, lands on 2, and then jumps and releases a try, legal by rule. Our crew does a good job positioning on the play, right? The lead with the jog across rotation, our center old trail, new center recognizes, and they know that, boom, this play right here, this curl away from the lead, that it belongs to the center. They have a great open look on the play, have nothing on that, right? We see our trail disconnect on the release. Again, these are the things we're looking at, but we're looking at the play on its merits, whether or not this is traveling, this is legal by rule, and it's important to understand that. So we're looking at the plays. Jordan's in the house. Good to see you, Jordan. David York jumping in. Good to see you, David. Fantastic. Yeah. Proper verbiage necessary. All right. Fantastic. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, let's take a look at our next play. Right? We got a little theme here. Player jumps off 1, lands on 2, all legal, but then lifts one of their feet and returns it to the floor, illegal by rule. Right? If you want to pick nits on the initial drive, we can look at that play. Right? Ay. So a player catches the ball and moves their left foot, right? So what does our brain say? Right foot pivot, right? That's what we need to do every time a ball handler catches the ball, right? Establish the pivot foot, recognize which foot it is, right? Slight movement of the pivot foot, right? This is movement in place. Whether or not it even leaves the floor is a question. Going to be hard to pick up. Jumps off 1, lands on 2 simultaneously, right? Legal by rule, but then lifts and replaces the floor, not legal by rule, right? So we look at those plays, we recognize them for what they are, so that when they occur in our game, we can recognize the legal plays and recognize the illegal. J. Dave, yeah, it was the Gregory Handy jumping in from Fairbanks. I hope the weather is phenomenal up there. Okay, I'm a little disconcerted by my inability to get my screen transitions. So give me just a second. All right. Okay. All right, we have looked at several plays involving jumping off one, landing on two. Right, we should have we've seen legal, we've seen illegal. We have an understanding of that. We'll come back to that with a few plays later on a step back situation, but right now let's look at a post play and legal action by a post player. Let's look at our very next play clip. All right. So we have a player who catches the ball with the right foot as a pivot foot, then places their left foot down, subsequently pivots on the left foot. This is a violation by rule. Boy, a sea of feet, right? Potentially hard to see. If we look at the original rotation, right, on the play, right? So we have two big post players in this game, right? So what would we expect? The lead official is going to be keying off of post action, right? Wants to be in position when this ball is caught, right? Ideally, not in a great position here. And always when we end up in this position, officiating from that closed down position, I find that we don't do our best work as lead. So may have missed this play for that reason. New center official blocked on the play, right? There's reasons why our crew may miss this, but if we look at the play on its merits, our post player establishes a right foot pivot on the catch right there, places the left foot, and then pivots off of the left foot. This is a violation by rule. A point of emphasis, understanding that it's a violation by rule. Again, and how to apply it into our game so that we can be consistent as officials. This is illegal by rule. No call incorrect. And these plays can be subtle, but again, what we want to do habitually is, well, I know she caught the ball and one of her feet is a pivot, right? Sometimes a player will catch the ball with 2 feet on the floor and neither foot is the pivot until they take an additional action. But in this instance, we could see the player, when she catches the ball, lands on one foot, that establishes her pivot foot. And it wasn't even close to a simultaneous landing where we could say, I'm not sure, right? What have you. So that's a point of emphasis. That's a play we need to get. I think we may be on cross purposes here on the comments. Yeah, that's what we got on that play. All right, let's take a look at our very next play scenario. A phenomenal clip. Oh boy! Imagine. Let's just jump into the official's position here. State final. Everybody's there. TV broadcast. All the things. You have this play, which first of all, right, a throw-in play. We've got, is the player legally inbounds? Is this a backcourt violation? All of the things, loose ball, athletic play, right? And we come up with a traveling violation because everybody, I mean, the announcer on the play, right? Everybody knows that's a you can't do that. Come on. Oh, you can't do that, right? But what's the illegal? What is the illegal on this play? That's what we have to ask ourselves. So that's where our throw-in ends. The ball is tipped. We have no team control on the court, so backcourt violation is not in play. The ball is loose on the floor. player dives, right? And at what point is she holding the basketball? Is she holding the basketball prior to rolling over? And would that be illegal? Right? The ball is on the floor. She is on her side and lifts the ball off the floor. Slides with the basketball and passes to a teammate. Right? I have this as a legal play. I don't see the illegal. I'm waiting for the illegal. As we talked about, many officials are going to make judgments based on rolling, right? And what is rolling over? A player on the floor holding the ball cannot roll over. What is rolling over? What does that mean? How is it defined in the rules book? It's not defined in the rules book. So let's see what everybody has on this play. I love this play. Los Tanton, legal. Then she rolls over and commits the violation. Randy, explain that further to me. Where you... Explain that further to me, where she rolls over on this play. I mean, there she's holding the ball and she's on her side, and she's still on her side, and then she's not on her side and passes the ball, right? At which point of that sequence is she rolling over? Los has it as legal. Yeah, so the big question when it comes to National Federation of High School, the difference of opinion is some officials feel that if there's any rolling action, a violation has been committed. This play would be legal by rule in NCAA women because it specifically addresses sliding and rolling player and then comes to a stop. In high school, it does not say sliding and rolling. It says sliding, etc. So, but then when we looked at the case plays on Wednesday, we could see that in the language there was room for interpreting that sliding and rolling was a factor. So this is the kind of play that's usually going to create disagreement among basketball officials. But again, I'm saying, where is the illegal? All right. That is not the right one. What's going on there? Give me just a second. Huh. I don't know how I goofed that up. You leave it to me. I'll goof things up. That's my motto here. Billy Mack, always with the protractor in his back pocket, just so he can determine the angle. What is it? There's a nautical term. Is it the... I don't know. Oh, so Mike Connors is saying she's not rolling away from a defender, right? So are we bringing that into the ruling? Like two players on the floor, a potential loose ball situation, a player moves from one side of their body to the other. Is to get the ball away from a defender, is that a factor in making those judgments? Los, let me know what you mean by that. Are we talking about the legality of the throw-in, or let me know. Thomas, I think that's a great way to approach things is momentum, right? They're doing all these things related to their momentum, and then the play stops, then the restrictions kick in. But that's a phenomenal play, one that I really like, and it just has so many dynamics, right? Put yourself in that position. That play occurs in front of you in this biggest of venues where you then again you have all that energy in the building that everybody knows. You can't do that, right? Great way to look at those plays. And let's look now at our next play clip. Hey. Right? A similar play, but simpler. But let's look at the similarities, right? Great defensive play, strips the ball, goes to the floor, grabs the ball, and slides on one cheek, as it were, right? You can see like the looked like he was potentially attempting to instinctively request a timeout in that situation, but doesn't even actually have control of the basketball. Sits up, legal, right? Again, if we're looking at where's the illegal part? That thing that they did there, okay, that's illegal. That's a traveling violation, right? We have to look at these plays. They're funny. They're different. They're interesting. Stuff's going on. Energy in the building. All of the things. But where's the illegal, right? This player is on the floor, allowed to slide, allowed to sit up, allowed to pass the ball, shoot the ball, request a timeout, allowed to do all of the things. A legal play by rule. Officials no call. Perfect. 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 John Howard with a great comment and a great approach to officiating. Don't penalize hustle and athleticism. And it's always a tragedy when we have to, right? Think of the rebounding play where a kid makes or a dive for the play where the player is clearly in the air, clearly holding the ball, and then goes to the floor. It's one of the more unfortunate calls we have to put in the game because we don't penalize their athleticism, but we penalize them for something that they've done in displaying their athleticism. And that's always a disappointment when we have to do that, but I agree that's a great approach to officiating. Don't penalize hustle and athleticism. I don't understand that, Thomas. That's our center. Wait a minute. Maybe that was our old lead. Right? Because this is a transition. We are in Red's front court. This is a defensive play. We would have to reset the shot clock, of course. So the player sort of turns to like they're going to shoot at that basket. I think that's where that comes in. Randy with a great point. Did he ever really have player control, right? And that's the other thing when players go to the floor is, do they have player control? A lot of times going to the floor, the player may fumble the ball, not have it loose. If there's any uncertainty, as opposed to I know that player is holding the ball, right? There's our out. Thomas, what about spinning on the backside? Like, let's say the player was sitting on the floor and his teammate grabbed his feet and spun him around, right? And he does like this, holding the basketball. Where is the illegal? You know what's illegal by rule. Where is the illegal, right? Funny things can happen. Unusual things can happen. Let's say one of the defensive players, steps in and just with or a teammate, the leverage of their leg causes the player to rotate, right? Where's the illegal? If we're waiting for that alarm to go off, legal, I see a play. I see something unusual, but I'm waiting for the illegal alarm to go off, right? Randy with a Globetrotters reference. Could be. Billy had a player shoot from the floor in a similar situation. I've had that as well. Always entertaining. It would be really entertaining if it happened in this instance because they'd be shooting at the wrong basket. And then our and then our brains would really be worrying. Oh boy. Thomas, if we're talking about that spinning play, again, that is legal because why is it legal? Why is it legal? Ask yourself that. Because it's not illegal. Let's just bring that in as a fundamental concept. Many things will happen. Like we talk about on throw-in plays, all sorts of things are going to happen, right? Unusual things. Players go to the floor. Footwork by players, etc. We see plays that there sometimes really unusual things can occur. What do? We're waiting for the illegal. I know what's illegal, and I know what's the pivot foot in a traveling play, but I know what's illegal. None of these things, unusual things that are happening, meet the criteria of illegal. Therefore, it's legal. Uncertainty, it's legal. I know it's illegal, then we have a violation. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. Hey, let's take a look at another play scenario. Another video. I don't know if you're familiar, there is a Twitter account called Step Through Joe that has only step through plays, right? Step through plays are legal by rule. Which is the pivot foot? Right? Now we see a little bit of this going on with the feet. Do the feet leave the floor? No. Legal. Which is the pivot foot? That's our first objective. Oh, pivot foot was lifted. So we must. No. Pivot feet? The pivot foot may be lifted by rule. The player may not return the pivot foot to the floor prior to releasing the ball. This is a legal play by rule. This is a step-through play. Step-through plays are legal, right? Step-through plays are fantastic. When we have skilled post players in our game, this is phenomenal, right? We want skilled players. We want deft actions by ball handlers, right? We do not want to. I mean, if you're going to have a step-through play, have you been in the gym practicing? Yes, you have, right? We don't want to and that's, of course, the point of emphasis and why we have a point of emphasis, not because we are allowing necessarily just illegals that need to be fixed, but we have legal plays that we have whistles being put on, right? So we have to understand the pivot foot in this scenario. We have to understand that this is a legal move by rule because the player does not return their pivot foot to the floor. Legal. Uh-oh. It's a scrimmage situation. Yeah, so we see this. Randy brings up the feet. We see, oh, why did we stop? We see a little oscillation right here, right? A little, sort of movement in place. John Howard pointing out that this play happens a lot in the women's game because this play happens a little slower, right? As men, sometimes this can be a factor. As officials, sometimes what are we affected by? The rhythm of plays can sometimes fool us. Why is the Euro step often called a travel when it's legal? Because what's the purpose of the Euro step? One is misdirection and change of pace. Right? The player takes one hard step slows with the second step, right? And creates their path has been altered and slowed down. And sometimes just those cues send to the official, that, can't be, right? And it also sends cues to people in the stands that, hey, you can't do that, etc. Right? So we have to recognize that, of course. The broken record repeats. We are looking for the illegal and understanding the illegal. Good point, John. Thanks for jumping in the chat. The flamingo is always legal. I don't have a flamingo play queued up. Oh my gosh. I am remiss. I am asleep at the wheel. But let's now look at our next play. All right, here we are. The James Harden step back move. Player jumps off 1 foot, lands on 2 feet, and releases a try, right? Official rules a traveling violation on the play. We know, as we saw in the previous plays, a player may jump off of 1 and land 2 simultaneously. This does not meet the criteria of simultaneously. Jumps off 1 foot, steps back, lands with the left foot, and then puts the right foot down. This is a traveling violation by rule. We see players attempt to execute this move, right? It has become prevalent at all levels. They attempt to do it. They may not understand how to do it legally. They may be taught to do it not legally, right? That's just a thing. Some players can execute this move. In order to do this move legally, both feet would need to land simultaneously. So this is a correctly ruled double overtime game, big moment in the game. I know that was a point of emphasis for NCAA men in recent years, but of course traveling is a point of emphasis for National Federation of High Schools. Seeing these plays, recognizing what's legal and what's illegal, key to accurately ruling on plays. Veteran biker is in the house. I am a veteran biker, but not in the same fashion probably as you. In a past life, I may have been a bike messenger in San Francisco for quite some time. Good to see you. Thanks for jumping in the chat. Right? And of course, NBA finds its way in again. NBA, most people who are involved in our game at whatever level watch NBA basketball. They get trained by the announcers for NBA games as to what's illegal, what's not legal, etc. But of course, the rules, especially at the NBA level, for traveling, extremely different than traveling at other levels. I mean, probably one of the biggest differences in any aspect. So in the NBA, there's much more leeway and freedom. Players in the NBA can be sitting, on the floor, holding the ball, stand up. Legal. Whoa. For a high school official, it's like, it's almost shocking to see that when it happens in our game. We are experiencing problems, let's see, take a look at that, with coaches trying to hold conversations during the course of play. Yep, right? So here's the thing. You analyze your game video and a play happens and it's right in front of you and you miss the call, right? And you realize, what? I'm like having a side mouth conversation with the coach, right? Invariably recognize when you're watching your game video, when you are engaged with a coach in any level, like one face-to-face, coach, I am this, that, and the other thing. Obviously, I don't want to do that during live ball, but we're holding on to a comment in passing or something like that, invariably we are not very good. I will raise my hand. I am not very good in those situations at continuing to officiate the game. So we have to have techniques and have the ability to say, Coach, I'll come back to you on that. Not now. I'll get back to you, right? Some way to, and then to disconnect and not stay connected to that. Because we may want to go back and come back at another point and engage the coach about a play, etc. All right. Awesome. Let's look at another play scenario. Right? The player sliding on their knees. Unusual. We don't see that too often, right? The player with knee, usually this may be a volleyball player or some such. She's got the 2 knee pads going, but not something we see all the time. And so it could be unusual to see, but a player is allowed to slide. Their momentum carries them forward. This is a legal play by rule. We would be, as soon as they are sliding with the ball, they are obviously in distress. Center officials should have their ear open about a possible timeout request. But of course, granting of timeouts, also a point of emphasis. Do we have player control? Would we be able to make that determination as the center official on this play, or would we be guessing? That comes into play on this as well. But this is a legal play, unusual. Good to see it. So then when it happens in your game, we're good to go. Now you could say, all right, what happens if this player here, let's say, lifts one of their knees off of the floor? Whoa, she did, right? Legal play. So there's a play that is not common. Good to see it. Legal play by rule. That player is allowed to slide and then do all of the things on that play. This game was so memorable preseason, and it was hard. It was hard. Uniforms. Dark on dark is, even if it's white on gray, at least you have a chance. The dark on dark is tough. And it was addressed after the game. Collegiate game. But yes. John says, I'm guilty of getting caught up in the action and just blowing the whistle. It stops the game, right? I mean, one of the reasons why the hand goes up is to signal the timer, right? That is essentially the reason why a hand is raised for a violation. In the absence of the in the absence of the raised hand and a whistle, and the clock properly stops, right? We have achieved what the desired result was. Would we want to do it better? Yes. Do we want to have great habits? Yes. If in the absence of those things, nothing untoward happens, then we've dodged a bullet there. All good. Let's look at another. Let's see. Right. Let's look at our next play. Common, right? And this is one that we have to get and have to be better at, is understanding on the catch which is the pivot foot and recognizing these split feet moves on the perimeter. So let's just look at the play on its merits, or let's just look at what's going on here. We have a three-point shooter who's in position ready to receive and potentially shoot. We have a defender that runs at them. They close out. In reaction to the closeout, the player does some sort of pump fake and go, right? What we need to do is understand whether or not they did that action legally or illegally. And what, of course, was the illegal? This player, when they catch the ball, has a pivot foot. Let's see which one it is. When they lift their right foot, they have established their left foot as the pivot foot. They reach back with the right foot and go, and then move their pivot foot as part of the move. You can see this same move, a negative step where they keep the foot in place, which would be legal. And sometimes officials can be fooled by that action, that negative step. It's not the negative step that's illegal here. It's moving the pivot foot, which is illegal on this play. So, split foot action by perimeter players is something we definitely need to understand, an establishment of the pivot foot and what action is illegal after that. And if we do that, we're good on that play. I wouldn't call it a bunny hop. Well, Mike calls it a straddle step. Whoop. That was weird. Again, collegiate game. I don't know. Not my favorite uniforms by the home team. Too busy. Too busy. All right, let's look at another traveling play. All right. I think we're out of plays. Awesome. Thomas asks, if the ball hit the ground first, would it be legal? If the ball is released prior to the pivot foot being lifted, it would be legal. If I'm understanding the question correctly. Okay. All right, let me do a wrap up here and then I'll be back for live stream. Hey, thanks for joining us today on 5 Play Friday. If you are in the mood, you could do all the things. You could hit like, subscribe, and notify so you don't miss out on any of our content. If you give me a moment, I'd love to thank our phenomenal show supporters, Gerald Masucci, Les O'Connor Jr., Jason Hayes, Sylvia Biggett, and Scott Calvin. Much appreciated and much love. You want to support the show? You can always buy us a coffee. You know there's a link above, and you know I'll put a link in the show notes below. Fantastic. We have additional video content available. This is a video that I've selected. This is a video that YouTube has selected. Make your choice. Choose wisely. And we'll see you in the very next video. Take care. All right. Billy Mack, did you watch the edited version or do you put yourself through the chat version, the live stream version? A little longer. No spin moves. How is that possible? Did I get all the plays? I think I did. Let's see. What would happen if I went? Yeah. You know, we covered spin moves in the recent episode, so I didn't include any of those. So, we'll have to do that in a future episode. Hey, so I've got some exciting things on the horizon that we're not quite ready to release yet. Should be good stuff. And we'll see how the schedule goes going forward in terms of live stream as the season approaches. And thank you, everybody. Thomas Henning with a question. A1 drives to the basket, begins their shooting motion, and is fouled. And then A1, in the continuation, travels and shoots the ball, and it goes in. What is the result? Excellent play scenario. What do you think the result is? Is the player, I mean, let's think it through to the absurd. A player begins a drive to the basket, begins their shooting motion, and is fouled, and it knocks the player off balance. And they take an illegal step and then release the ball. What if they took 2 illegal steps and released the ball? What if they ran forward to the basket and released the ball, right? That's a good way to think about the logic about the play and when the ball would become dead on the play, right? Player in a continuous motion applies on a player, and the ball is live until the try is completed. But when would the ball become dead in this instance? Oh, show supporter, the notorious SMB is in the house. Good to see you, Sylvia. Awesome. Yeah, the try ended with the illegal. I guess they have not traveled, but the try has ended because of their actions. I don't know. That's a tough one in terms of how you would how you would verbalize what has occurred on that play. Oh, excellent, excellent. You want to see me make mistakes. I can fix things up in editing. Oh, but that guy's really polished. But live stream viewers know. No, he's not. Okay. All right, team, I have got work to do. I am going to wrap things up. I really appreciate everybody joining on the live stream today. I'm not sure what's going to happen on Monday, to be honest with you. I have some conflicts, so we may just go Wednesday and Friday of next week. But stick around. Join us for the live stream next week. We'll look at more things. We will all get better together. Have yourself a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the day. Make it a great day. Do something for someone they couldn't possibly repay you.